Hey, what's up, Agents for Life? Happy New Year. Welcome to podcast number 267, where I've got some good stuff planned. We're talking about the new year, new goals. Hit a refresh button. Whatever happened in 2025 doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is moving forward from here, or 2024. Did I say that wrong? Anyways, 2025 moving forward is a brand new year. It's a clean slate. And if you're new or joining us, my goodness, sky's the limit. A lot of hard work, but it's going to pay off. And we're excited that you're here. If you've been with us for a while, haven't seen the results you're looking for, you know what? I don't think there's ever been a better time because of the way the economy is shifting, optimism in the market. I've had a large response of people looking now. So it's there, and this is a good time to get in and build your business and grow and get out there and protect families. I'm getting back to some of my roots. So I spent a lot of time doing reviews and working with my clients last year and working ethos leads and some older mortgage protection leads. This year, one of my things, I'm going back to a standing A or lead order. A leads are more expensive, but that's how I built my business in the first 3 or 4 years. So getting back to that, I think it's a good time to get back into standing lead orders, into mortgage protection, the way that Equus was built on, and the way that the top producers are all doing their businesses. So if you want to know more about that, let me know. But that's one of the things that I'm doing. And if you, as you've heard in the past, I'm also hyper focused on my goals. Anything that isn't in alignment with my goals, I'm saying no to. So I'm getting better at saying no and not getting distracted. And I'm super excited to be here. So, a couple of things. First of all, just a quick mic drop moment. For those of you that paid attention on Telegram, I posted this, but I love this so much. I wanted to bring it up in my podcast. And this is framing our future and what we look at and how we see what we see and how we get what we look for. So he explains in this book that I'm reading the difference between a vulture and a hummingbird. Besides the obvious differences, right? A vulture is always looking for rotting food, stinking, roadkill, dead animals, yuckiness, right? That's what a vulture is looking for. Don't ask me why. God made them that way. I don't know, but they love death. Okay. And they circle around waiting for animals to die, animals that have died for a long time. They go down there and eat and feast, and it pleases them. I don't know. I don't understand it. Now let's look at a hummingbird. It's a beautiful creature, right? I don't know anybody that doesn't love a hummingbird. But what do they look for? Well, they're looking for nectar. They're looking for life, for flowers, for beauty. They're attracted to color, right? And so the interesting thing though is both of these creatures get what they're looking for. And both of them could look for the other things, but I've never seen hummingbirds looking around for dead animals or roadkill. They just don't get excited for that. So they look for and they get what they look for. And you and I, it's no different. We're also God's creatures. Only we get to choose. That's the difference. We're not built one way or the other. We're built to choose what we want. So, what are you looking for in 2025? And you get what you look for. So, are you looking in places where that is? Are you circling around over a highway, of gossip, of news, of, stinky flesh and stories and things that'll keep you off track, noise, right? Or are you looking for opportunities? Are you looking for protecting families? It kind of parallels what the hummingbirds look for. So I love that thought. And I just want to encourage you, look for the good, look for the opportunities, expect big things this year, right? Put the ball in motion and then go to work looking for that to actually happen in your life. Because my belief is God wants you to succeed. He wants you to have success. Um, Couple of things though, talking about this next year that I really wanted to focus in on with this podcast, and that is, and hopefully this kind of parallels what I've been talking about. But as you look ahead, this idea of a compound effect and how that can make a difference. So one of the things that I'm doing now that I've never done before is tracking my dials. So I'm getting even more granular on my numbers, one level down. So if you're not tracking your dials, it was for me, it was a little clunky writing the ticker marks or trying to keep track of, hundreds of dials. But I bought a little ticker thing and I look down at it here because it's at my desk. I mounted it here, and every time I make a dial, I just hit the button, and it just slowly all week long goes until the end of the week, and then I can punch my number in for the week. So why is that important? Because that's where everything starts. Now, let me unpack this idea of compound interest. If you haven't read the book, Darren Hardy, he was the former editor of Success magazine and very, very successful man. He wrote a book called The Compound Effect, and how small incremental change and even activities sustained over a long period of time make an enormous difference. So let's break that down onto a granular level for you. What if you dialed one more phone number every day than what you're doing right now? Just one more dial. Okay. Let's pull out a calculator. Let's see what that means. That's five. We'll say six, because we're going to include Saturdays. We have dial sessions on Saturdays. So that's six per week times 52, okay, weeks in a year. That's 312 dials. Okay. So that's another, in the end of the year, 312 dials. And if we times by 5 years, and you might have a lot longer life here at Equus, maybe you have 10 years or 15 years, but let's just go 5 years. Over the next 5 years, that's an extra 1,560 dials. Okay. Wow. Doesn't that add up to a lot? Now, here's the thing. This is where we lose track of this idea. One day hardly makes a difference, right? One extra dial, big flippin' deal, right? Nobody's retiring. Nobody's hitting that $1 million commission level on one more dial. So the good and the bad, you can see how sustaining that one extra dial doesn't really make a difference much at the end of the week. At the end of the month, it's only a few, but over time, at the end of the year or even 5 years, turns into 1,000+ dials, which would make an enormous difference. So over time, it makes a difference, but it's also bad in that it's easy to justify away that one dial, right? Isn't it easy to just say one more? What's one more? Big deal. I'm done for the day or whatever, and then dismiss it and miss out on what that compound effect activity could do for you in the long term. See, I believe that success has a formula, and everybody has their kind of version of it. But if I were putting on my mathematical helmet and try and formulate what success is, somewhere in there is consistency. Consistency. Sustained activity over time. And I think the biggest mistake that a lot of agents make is starting, and it's the new year, so we're going to talk about that, right? Starting something and not sticking with it long enough for it to really take off. In our business, just like any entrepreneurial endeavor that you start, you're going to have to get past that takeoff point. An airplane, I don't know the details, but I know that there's a certain speed, a certain lift. And if I went to flight school, I could tell you with a little bit higher level of intelligence, but a certain amount of lift and speed is what it's going to take to get that to go up off the ground and go into the air, go airborne. Below that, it doesn't happen. In our business, there is a certain amount of activity that it's going to take to get you up off the ground into profitability and momentum. And it's going to take a lot of runway and a lot of engine and a lot of jet fuel to get to that point. So a lot of agents jump in their airplane and they just putter down the runway, and they don't really get enough speed to get up off the ground. And maybe even halfway through the runway, they're like, I'm not flying, so why should I be here? What is this? Isn't working, and they go on to something else. And the unfortunate thing is you'll probably carry that pattern wherever you go. These aren't unique concepts to life insurance. These are concepts that apply anywhere in life. It just so happens that here you can really, number one, benefit in a big way if you will are willing to do what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Um, but you also quickly can experience the downside of not making any money if you're not willing to step on the pedal and get that airplane going with enough velocity. So the consistency, the speed, the activity, those are all elements of success. I don't know what arrangement times this squared, carry over the one, whatever, to the success formula if we're formulating the mathematical equation, but I know that consistency is a huge part of it. I'm on a follow a channel of a guy that goes around and interviews successful people. And almost always there's something in their answer that they didn't know what they were doing when they first started out. They weren't handed a silver spoon. They had to figure things out. They failed. A lot of them were broke. Some of them were homeless. I mean, you wouldn't believe the stories, but the consistency of them just tapping away. It's like the river that hits that rock. Nothing happens at first. Nothing happens after a week. Nothing happens after a month. But after years, it's carving a tunnel through a mountain of rock, right? Because of consistency. So let's take it back to my original point. Dial one extra lead per day. Who could do that? Every single one of you listening could make one extra dial per day. How many extra appointments might that create for you? 5 more dials per week. That could be another appointment per week, but let's say it's one appointment per month. Well, in the end of the year, that's 12 new appointments. Okay. And let's say you write half of those. That's 6 more applications. Average APV is going to be 1,000, 1,200. That's 7,200 APV, 3 or 4 grand. Do you see the difference? Now, one extra dial can do per day by the end of the year. Okay. And now what about 2 dials? I mean, a dial takes literally 5 seconds. Why couldn't you do 2 more dials or 3 more dials? So my point is, where are you and what are you doing daily? And can you stretch yourself just a little bit more for the benefit of your success, for your future, for your dreams? Can you stretch yourself one more appointment, one more application, one more dial? If you want to get down to just the nitty gritty, can you do just one more? So, how good were you yesterday? What were your numbers yesterday? Can you improve just one notch today? Incremental success, sustained consistency. That's the name of the game. Do you notice not once have I talked about talent? Some of you are going, yeah, but I'm not the top salesperson. You know what? That's not the thing. Yes, it can help you, but that's not the thing. I've seen a lot of talented people quit. Am I talented? No, I would not consider myself a talented salesperson. My sales closing ratios are average, if not even a little below average, I would say. I am not a natural born salesperson. What I just hustle. I just work my numbers. Okay. And that's all. That's all that we ask anybody to do is get in. You're not going to have immediate success. Your plane is not going to lift off the runway right away. You have to get some forward momentum. Don't worry about screwing up. Don't worry about which leads. Yes, that's important, but don't hold your business up on some side concern that doesn't even move the needle. Here's the bottom line. Get some leads, make some phone calls, schedule some appointments, and you'll have the opportunity to write some applications. Everything else that's swirling around, all the trainings, everything, that all doesn't matter right now. It really doesn't. You can push that down the road. So, 2025, new year, clean slate. What are we going to do? We have the opportunity to embrace this idea of the compound effect. And I'm going to end on this note, this idea. The compound effect that I've been talking to you about, incremental change sustained over a long period of time equals massive results in a year, 2, 3, or 5 from now. That's compound effect, right? The cool thing about compound effect is anybody can embrace it. Anybody can say, I'm going to do one more thing. Compound effect isn't reserved for Ivy League graduates. Compound effect isn't reserved for silver spoon millionaire families. The compound effect isn't reserved for people that have, special intelligence levels or special opportunities in life. The compound effect can be embraced by anybody who just says, you know what? I'm going to do one more than I did yesterday. And I'm going to sustain that for the next X, Y, Z, fill in the blank. Okay. You get to embrace the compound effect and you get to benefit all the good and all the benefits that will come from that over time. Okay. Over time, you have to be patient. Just like a gardener, you plant your seeds, there's a harvest coming. You know what you got to do. Just keep those seeds going. Don't stop. You got to keep watering. You're not seeing the plants right away. It's okay. The plane is not going off the runway right away. You got to keep going until it happens. But happen it will. The only way to guarantee yourself failure, true failure, is to quit. Because if you stay on track, the success is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. So embrace the compound effect in your life. I challenge you to look at as you're looking at your goals and setting your activity levels, how can you stretch yourself just a teeny bit more? Okay? Don't try and double and max yourself out and get burned out. Just stretch yourself a little bit more until it becomes normal. And then a little bit more and a little bit more and watch what happens by December of 2025 and mark this podcast as the start of that journey and how much of a difference it will make in your life if you take advantage of the compound effect in what you're doing. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.